Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here today with a layout for hip kits. This is using the May kits. This week here on the Hip Kit blog, it's a kind of a color kit challenge. It's to use these color kits from May. It's one of the add-ons, and I decided to get the add-on this month. Normally I don't pick up the color add-on because I'm not a huge mixed media person. It's definitely not my area of expertise. But I really love the Prima watercolors. I have picked up a couple other sets here and there, and they're really pigmented. So I thought, why not? I'm going to get them because I like the colors, and we'll give it a try. So this is a bit of a stretch for me. I'm definitely not an expert by any means, but you can see I've just started out here with some die cut circles this is the white cardstock in the kit. It's not watercolor paper, so I'm trying to be really careful not to use a lot of water. I find my biggest problem is that I use a lot of water, and that's kind of what makes it bad for me, I think. I think it's watercolors. I should use a lot of water, but in reality, you don't need a ton. So I'm just using different colors here. I'm kind of picking all colors of the rainbow. So I've done like a bit of a pinkish red, and this is like more of a green kind of color. And there's no real method to what I'm doing other than I'm just mixing up the pigment with water and kind of just moving it around the white. I want to really make sure that some of the white circle is still remaining. For this teal one, I decided to just put a bunch of water on the white cardstock and then add touches of the watercolor to it, and I really like that. That worked out pretty good for me. It was easy to blend the color a little bit better. So yeah, you can see I have a bit of a paper towel too, just to dab off where maybe it's a little too much of the one color, and then I'm just adding a little more in after. So that one took me less time to do. So definitely this is, I think, one of those things you just need to practice at. I just haven't had the opportunity to do that. So as you can see, really pretty colors. I really like this orange kind of terracotta color, so this one also went quite quickly for me. And I'm not really worrying about making them all look the same. I want them to look a little different, and I'm trying to get a variation of dark to light color on each circle. So you can see I keep adding pink back after the fact, and that's okay. So now I want to try this golden yellow kind of color. It's really pretty. And then I do end up doing one that's purple. It's a really pretty purple color. But I decided not to use the purple one because I find purple really hard to use personally. I used to find yellow hard to use, but now I really love yellow. So here's that purple I'm going to do. And it's like such a pretty purple color, but yeah, I didn't end up using it. And actually, I think I watercolor this one probably the best of the bunch, but that's okay. It's kind of a learning thing. So it was just good practice. And once I got going with this, the watercoloring part really didn't take me a lot of time. So yeah, it was quite simple and fun, and I think I would do it this way for me, at least as a beginner. This was a good way to kind of control my area and what I was doing versus, a whole big background of a layout and trying to add color to that. So I'm just going to dry these with my heat gun because I don't have any patience. And they will warp a little bit, but what I'm going to do to put them on my page will flatten them out anyway, so I'm not really concerned with that, but that's another good reason why I'm watercoloring on a smaller area versus a larger area. You can see I'm watching my iPad. So I'm just going to add stitching around each of these circles. I'm just really, as you can see, quite quickly going around each one with my little mini sewing machine just to create a bit of a ridge. Nothing fancy. And then when I'm done with that, I'm just going to get ready to finish my page. So I'm grabbing some different cardstocks here from the cardstock add-on for May, and I really wanted to use one of the pattern papers, but I just couldn't find one because I chose so many different colors. I think that was maybe my problem. I almost went with the black because the black was kind of nice and bold, but in the end, I ended up sticking with the mint green cardstock. I think it works the best with that teal and the different colors that I have going on, especially with my daughter's swimsuit too. So then I decided to cut these circles. Because I wanted to mix up the colors. At first I thought I might do like a bit of a pie charty type situation, but decided against that. Then I thought about maybe making a bit of a pattern with the different circles. As you can see, I'm going to kind of go through some of that stuff. And then I just start moving things around, and then I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cute and like on a tilted angle there. So I end up just kind of going with that and then filling in the page, kind of making my own pattern paper, I guess you could say, using the cardstock and the watercolored circles. So I'm just matching up the circle edges, and I have to say, I'm kind of a little bit impressed with myself because the stitching, I hadn't really thought that the stitching wouldn't match, but for the most part, it looks like I followed the edge the same width for each one, so they kind of match pretty closely. You can't really tell where, you can't tell that they weren't sewn together, so that is pretty lucky because I didn't really think of that before I started cutting them in half. So I'm going to just trim off all my excess here, and then I get lazy and I decide to do it on my trimmer, which is probably smarter anyway because it's a lot straighter that way. And I think I'm going to save these bits at first because I think I might end up using some of those. And then I decide just to add a couple rows of extra stitching through some of the cross area of the circles, so like where the two circles meet up. I decided to add some stitching to that just to kind of get it stuck down a little better to the page too, because the adhesive I use isn't super tacky. It's kind of a low grade tack, so that way when I add the stitching it really sticks everything down. And then I'm going to add some stitching around the edge circles too, so it just adds a little bit of a texture thing. And because I used cardstock and not watercolor paper, that is really helping me kind of stick those cardstock pieces down and de-warping them. So if you've ever watercolored on cardstock, you know things get a little warped. So yeah, so that's kind of how now I have my background. So for me, this is about as artsy as I kind of get, and I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie, it's really cool. So I know I want to do this kind of, I don't know if I want to call it a technique. It's not really super technique-y, but I definitely would use the watercolors in a smaller way until I get better at it. And then I decide I want to just mount my photo a little bit larger. So I'm using just some different papers from the kit to do that. And then I wanted to add some black because I had all these bright colors. I felt that we needed something neutral to balance it out, so that black's a really good way to ground kind of all that color together. And then I do have the black photo mat that I cut around my photo, and I'm probably going to use black for my title, I'm thinking at this point, but I end up veering from that. But yeah, I added my black droplets, and what I use for my black droplets, I had someone ask me the other day, it's Tattered Angels Glimmer Glaze. So it's really good because it's not mist. It's actually kind of like a thicker, like nail polish consistency. And it's really hard to find nowadays because Tattered Angels isn't around as much as it used to be. But it's really good. It gives nice, good splatters. As you can see, they don't smoosh out onto your page. They do stay really circular. So that's the only thing I use in general that I use for splashes. And I only use black for some weird reason. I have black and I've just stuck with that. The odd time I'll use different colors, but for the most part I stick with this. So now I'm just going to add all the pretty bits to the page. I'm going to use, these are exclusive alphabets from the May Hip Kits. They're super fun font. I love this font. It's a puffy sticker, which is also very cool. I love the puffies. I'm just moving around my photo and getting these to stick down. So at first I thought I was going to do a black title, but I ended up sticking with this kind of teal, almost mint green, like my background title, mixed with some of the white. But it's good. It's a little more subtle than the black would have been. I think the black's a little bit maybe too harsh with summer, so I think the white and the blue combo worked okay. I'm kind of happy with that, and I do like these Chamel thickers. They're pretty cool. So I'm just going to try to line everything up here. I'm using my tonic, I don't know what it's actually called, but it is a really cool pokey tool that I use. I'm going to see if I can find it here. It doesn't say any. Precision tool, I think it's called. But you can make it long or short, and you can, I use it to place a lot of things down. I find it really easy for me to do that. And now I'm grabbing my exclusive die cuts from Hip Kits. These were in the May kit as well, so I'm just adding some foam adhesive behind them to make them pop a little bit. And I'm just going to layer some of those, the little fun clouds, really, really cool patterns on those die cuts. I really love them. And just tuck, I'm trying to use as much of these as I can. I like them, so they're pretty cool. I'm just tucking little embellishments and then trying to find out what I can use from the crepe paper chipboard that's in the kit, because I almost, to be honest, forgot that I had it. So that's a bad thing. That's usually what happens, right? Is you forget you have something and then it gets pushed to the side for some weird reason, and then you find it like 6 months later. So I'm trying not to do that anymore. So I'm trying to use these exclusive die cuts, and then I'm going to add, honestly, 2 bits I think from the chipboard pack there. But I will add that, and then again I'll add some of those buttons you can see in the top left there. Those are crepe paper buttons as well. And then really, because this background's pretty busy with all the circles and the watercoloring, all the bright colors, I'm going to kind of leave the rest of it very simple. Had I had a 12 by 12 typewriter, I probably would have typed some journaling underneath where that title is before I got every other little bit on there, but I don't. So normally I either journal on my computer after the fact, or I type on a journaling card on my old typewriter, but it doesn't work super fantastic. So most of the time I don't add journaling, but I can live with that. It is what it is. I have a lot of these layouts just piling up, which is kind of sad. I just don't seem to get them in albums anymore. I don't know why, but yeah. So I'm just adding some of those little buttons there. And I really love these buttons, but I hate that they don't have anything through the middle, so I have to stitch through them. It drives me mental when there's nothing through the middle. I don't know why. It's just one of those things, right? That's kind of one of my things. So I'm just layering little pieces. I added a yellow heart or that yellow part of the circle. And now I'm just kind of cleaning up some of my bits, trying to see if there's any more of those die cuts that I could use. I decided to add a label along the top of the photo. And then there's exclusive puffy stickers I forgot about. So I'm adding some of the smaller little flower ones just in and around my layers of embellishments. And then there's Dear Lizzie puffy stickers that are cute. And just get those out. And the same thing, I'm just going to add a couple bits of those just tucked in, lining over my photo, as you can see right here. And that's really it. So kind of a, for me, more complicated page, but really it's not very hard. You can see around the edges of those circles, I just took a tracing ruler. It's one of those tracing wheels for sewing, and ran it along my ink pad and then traced around there. But I think it looks pretty good, so I'm happy with how it turned out. Thanks for stopping by, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.